Someone says TLDR, yes, there's a bunch of AI, but it wasn't supposed to be this much. And what about underpaid animators in third world countries? And what about big corporations? And what about how people have disliked other things that ended up being good? My main takeaway from this is that at least it sounds like this was a case of Carpenter Brut hiring someone to make the video and them then deciding to use AI rather than Carpenter Brut hiring someone to use AI to make the video. That is what it sounds like, and maybe I'll put this near the beginning of the video to show you a short version, because I'm positive this video is going to end up being an hour, and I know ain't nobody got time for that. Alright, so hello again. We are back with another Carpenter Brut music video AI conversation piece. But first of all, thank you for the support on the last video. I did not think this would get this big, and I appreciate all your comments. I've interacted with pretty much all of you about it, and I've talked about whatever you talked about and how I feel about everything, and I hope that everybody feels like I've been cordial, because I'm not here to make fun of anyone. I'm not here to get mad at anyone. I'm here to have a conversation, and that's what this video is. The first video was for me. It was for me to get my feelings out there and feel better about the whole situation. But this video is continuing the conversation because we've had some new insights and a new statement, and we're gonna watch a video together. So to start off with this video, we're gonna get right into talking about what the statement was, and then we're gonna watch the video, and then I'm gonna wrap up with more in-depth dive on what other people have said and commented. But first, here's some YouTube comments that I think are pertinent, and not everyone necessarily agrees with me completely, and that's okay. I'm here to have a conversation now. Again, first video was just for me to get my feelings out there, just raw and unfiltered, but this one I will be more directly talking about what others have said. But again, comments. Here's some Reddit comments too. I put my video on Reddit, or the link to Reddit, and that's what really skyrocketed the views, I think. So anyways, I have already recorded a lot of this statement from Jean Delaney. Again, I don't know how to say that, so apologies, Jean. But I recorded this whole thing and got through a few paragraphs, and I've already said my thoughts, but I will start it right now, and I will pick up from where I left off later. So see you there. At members. Important, following the response to the latest video, John Delaney's open letter provides necessary context. Please read it in full. Hi everyone, it's me, the Antichrist. I'm really glad to see how well our hard work has been received. The love is truly palpable, so first and foremost, thank you from me and the entire team. I understand some people would have preferred a black screen, and I'm sorry to disappoint. Now that I got some of my sarcasms out of my system, and because being real is the only way I know how to function, let me be crystal clear. Am I happy that I felt compelled to use so much AI last minute shit to be able to even just deliver the video in time? F no. Am I satisfied with the final product? Of course not, but at the same time, I'm never happy, so shrug. I think there's good and bad, but I don't think AI is the problem per se. We originally set ourselves to do most of the work in 3D using Maya and Blender. In a similar way, apologies, I don't know how to say this, Maysiege, I'm gonna just go with Maysiege, has been making his own stuff. I even chatted with the man himself to get some insights and recommendations on how to go about the whole thing. And at the beginning, we were all super excited to aim for that specific workflow and try to push it as far as possible to mimic vintage Japanime. Not as good as having a team of 2D animators, but still. And of course, we were going to use some AI, but really trying to keep it to the minimum. That's paragraph 1. Moving right along. Continued. The simple truth is that the production kinda imploded because of purely human slash life related reasons, and I had to go for plan B, C, D all the way to Z. That's how we got there. You can blame producer me for that. We had a decent monetary budget thanks to Carpenter Brut really trusting and investing in me and my team here, but as delays started piling up, the schedule became the issue. Even if you have a decent budget and you're trying to compensate people as good as you can't just pay people the same way they are being paid for actual work. No one makes money making music videos anymore. Trust me, I worked for Eminem, Lana Del Rey, Billie Eilish, Bonobo, Noisia, Senbei, to name a few. It's all just promo content or doing it for the love of music videos. No one makes a profit with this. You're lucky if you're getting paid altogether. And I don't know if people are aware, but our entire industry at large is kind of suffering extra right now, in parts due to AI, but not only. So unless you have deep pockets and you confront the cost no matter what happens, it becomes a game of trying to ask your artist to juggle a passion project on the side while they themselves are just trying to survive and pay for rent. Try it, it's fun. Should I have outsourced the work to China, Vietnam, or the Philippines to underpaid and exploited workers like most modern animation studios do? I certainly could have. If you're curious, there's a great Cartoon Brut article about that came out recently. Paragraph 3. But instead, I chose to use AI, both using cloud services and running locally on our own computers. The topic is complex and I don't see things in black and white, so we may agree or disagree depending on which aspect of it I'm talking about, but here's the gist of what I think. As a professional 3D artist, animator, and creative director, it's a huge threat. Like I said, it's a big factor contributing heavily to the devaluation of my skill set, and it's shrinking the amount of people needed to do the work. So in order to survive, and because I actually just love making images, I've been adapting like many others to stay competitive. I'm lucky enough that I'm still working regularly. That's not true for a lot of my friends and former colleagues. It's a real carnage out there. At the same time, I do feel like we've been trained as the mechanics for a stupid machinery no one will really miss. We were at the peak of our industry and no one really knew it. It's okay, things evolve. Just sucks when it's your turn to be phased out. As an indie filmmaker and storyteller, I'm sorry to say, but I do think this is an amazing revolution. The same way the Super 8 and Super 16 cameras democratized filmmaking and marked the beginning of independent cinema as we know it. I truly think this technology, used properly, can enable people to make things that would have otherwise been out of reach or reserved to a certain elite. Paragraph 4. I understand the outrage against the way the big companies have been mishandling, e.g. stealing, the data used for training most generative models. Some of my own friends are part of ongoing lawsuits. There's not really a good solution for a clean, ethical alternative at the moment. OpenAI made a deal with Disney, so that part is now legal, I guess. Not sure how that's supposed to work really, and that's part of the problem. Right now it's the Wild West, and we're all waiting for better rules. I also understand the outrage about energy consumption, although I think it's misdirected. Get angry at people turning grandma into a Ghibli character or asking ChatGPT everything and anything every 2 minutes. Not at people trying to tell stories and craft visuals. What I don't understand is people throwing a label on anything that mentions AI, doing mindless boycotting in hopes of what? That it hurts? Who? The big evil corporations or the small independent artists simply trying to adapt? Plagiarism didn't work for machine learning to exist. You can go to a museum, look at Picasso, go home, copy it, and sell it, or just be inspired and do something new. Still inspired from someone else's art, but actually creative. Everything is a copy, air quotes. So yes, AI is plagiarism on steroids, but in my opinion it just means it takes more vigilance, and it should force people to think outside the box. Case in point, I don't think anyone can say that what we've been doing is anything but a tribute. Was that paragraph 4? Yeah, so it's 5. Funny how I'm old enough to remember people used to do the same thing with computer graphics and 3D animation. Back in the day, we were the traders taking jobs away from the real artists who can actually hold pencils, button pushers, soulless, etc. And now everyone loves K-pop Demon Hunters, Love, Death, and Robots, and Arcane. Facepalm. One thing living and working in Los Angeles has taught me is that not everything has to be on the same shelf. I'm not asking for the top shelf for the same reverence we rightfully give hand-drawn animation or even the same respect full 3D animation has managed to earn, but just for some respect. If not for me, for the team who worked really hard to get this out. Another thing I wanted to address is the AI specialist credit. There's not really a good way to put it. AI artist irks everybody and expert sounds douchey. But it takes a real know-how to use the tools as they are right now and to keep control of the output the way we did. So at the end of the day, it just means that they were involved in the process along with myself and nobody else was. Paragraph 6. As you'll see in the making of video I'm releasing today, even if it was a bit rushed and even if we did use AI, this was still a hard labor of love and passion. I've been a huge anime fan nerd for most of my life, and it was always a goal to attempt something in that vein. Not sure I would have attempted it without AI or with a $250,000 budget. Good or bad, the entire thing came from my brain, and I worked really hard with our storyboard artist to articulate a very clear roadmap for the entire team from the beginning. I also worked with a character designer to get the visual concepts exactly where we wanted them to be, but to take them to that classic vintage and anime look, yes, we used AI instead of hiring a second designer. This is the part that I'm the least proud of, but at the same time we would have been asking a new artist to basically copy an iconic style while incorporating the concepts from somebody else. No matter how you flip it, it's not a great situation for anyone involved, so I just thought it was maybe less hurtful in a way. Lesson learned on that front, but to be fair, I would not have proceeded that way if we were not doing a tribute to a certain style and embracing the cheap, gritty, low-cost aesthetics. We were never really going for original style here anyway. Hell, some shots are almost one-to-one from Akira, and I even parodied the old school toy logo animation. That's also why I do think it's okay to have some style discrepancy. We have too much. Old cheap anime are equally bad on that front. Final paragraph. We're almost there. The last 2-3 months have been especially really straining as I personally took the time off of work to fully focus on this. In the end, I ended up animating almost every single shot myself in Maya, and then depending on the shot we either used the Toon Shade CG renders directly or used my animation as a guide to generate the characters while referencing the Kara design model sheets we made. All the full AI shots were only meant to be placeholders for something more crafted, but we just ran out of time and had to prioritize. Those are the ones that most people are pointing at, and that makes sense. If I could, I would remake them. Now that all this is said, you tell me if that's enough of a human factor for y'all. And if you just don't like what we made, I'm truly sorry. We did our best here. Either way, just keep in mind that for a lot of artists and non-artists out there, generative AI is just an opportunity to create. And for the audience to have fresh and independent voices that challenge the status quo imposed by Hollywood, aka Disney, Comcast, Netflix, Amazon, Sony, and Apple. Or maybe you'd rather keep seeing stuff coming out of the big studios who are the only ones who have enough money to do things the right way, and still they also use AI. They just won't tell you they do. As a follow-up to my rant, I'll be doing some kind of Q&A/AMA situation, more details about how, when, and where soon. J. P.S. This was not written with the help of AI in case you're wondering. Okay. And then he has the behind the scenes video here, and then a final message says, as a result, we are opening the video channel. Come to discuss and share your thoughts on all clips and from the Misfits/the Rebels. And that's where that came in, which erupted, as far as I understand. So I will quickly go through the quickly. I mean, how long did that take to read? That probably took 10 minutes to read. Um, but anyways, to start off, paragraph one. I don't. Well, maybe this is already nitpicking, but I'm not sure it's a great idea to open with sarcasm, double sarcasm at that. Um, it almost feels like you're making fun of us, but I don't know. As a PR move, you probably should have just opened with straight to business. And I I do mostly believe you that you're not happy that you had to use AI. You sound very passionate about what you wanted to do, and yes, life gets in the way, and that's just how it goes. You know, it's one minute you're animating something really awesome, and then the next your boss is at your doorstep and you need to deliver. Now, I do believe you that you're not happy about it, but you also seem to cope a little bit. Um, and yeah, you say your plans here. You wanted to get to business, not use AI or keep it to a minimum. Um, and the Japanime, you had a very specific style you were going for, and that's I assume not good to not easy to recreate. I'm not know-how on animation, so maybe you're annoyed that I'm even talking about this. But to continue on, paragraph two. Again, life got in the way, and that's fine. I understand that, and you said you can blame the producer me for that, and that sounds humble for a minute. Um, and yeah, scheduling issues. You had the budget. You said you worked for other people. Nobody makes money making music videos anymore. Which, you know, I'm sure there's some truth to that, but I imagine Carpenter Brut at least generates revenue, and it sounds like he paid you, right? So, at least in your case, you made some money. Um, I mean, maybe not. No one makes a profit off this. You're lucky if you're getting paid all together, which again, it sounds like you were, but um, the industry's suffering right now. I believe that 100%. And you say not only because AI, but just because money. And it's true. The divide between the people who can make high quality videos and those who can't is just getting bigger. And I mean, you kind of have a good point about. I feel like it's a decent point as far as this whole thing goes that you do. Um, you are able to make music videos as a lower class individual, air quotes, um, with AI, right? And I don't think that's necessarily incorrect line of thinking. Well, I don't think it's an illogical line of thinking, I should say. But you had a lot of people to take care of in this situation, and I understand that. Y'all are trying to survive, pay your rent. I understand that. And yeah, you kind of go back to the bitter side of things with this last statement. Should I have outsourced to this place? I could have. Like it this almost feels like you're pointing the finger somewhere else, which yes, this is a problem, but for all intents and purposes, what are we supposed to do about it? And maybe I'm shrugging off, but you're pointing at a different problem in the first place. At least I would say. And goodness me, I am glad you didn't pay those guys. Like how insane would that be? Like how insane is it that you even brought it up? But I'll kind of move on from that. Um, paragraph 3, but instead you chose AI. And you know, it is you don't see things in black and white, and this is what you think. It's a huge threat, big factor to the devaluation of your skill set, shrinking the amount that people needed to work. I'm lucky that I'm still working regularly. That's not true for a lot of my friends. It's real carnage out there. At the time, I do feel like we've been trained for mechanics for stupid machinery. No one will really miss. I disagree with that. I think very shortly everybody's gonna miss the era of no AI. Heck, I miss it. I was already thinking. I've been talking with people. I'm like, man, we had it so good when this wasn't a problem. Um, and just for the record, quick side tangent. I am not talking about computer programs. I'm not talking about like I don't know websites or the internet. But I am talking about like generative AI, and especially its use by the public. And I'll kind of bring up why I even talk about that right now because you said as an indie filmmaker, well, back up a sec. We were at the peak of our industry and no one really knew it. It's okay, things evolve. Just like when it's your turn to be phased out. That's true. And a lot of people are getting phased out really quickly now, and it's mainly because of AI. It really is. But anyways, you say as an indie filmmaker and storyteller, I'm sorry to say, but I do think this is an amazing revolution. I completely disagree with that. I disagree with that part completely. Um, the same way the Super 8 and Super 16 cameras democratized filmmaking and marked the beginning of independent cinema as we truly know it, I truly think this technology used properly can enable people to make things that would have otherwise been out of reach or reserved to a certain elite. I do agree with the second half of that. I don't think this is comparable to new technology like the Super 8 and Super 16 because this is so much bigger and so much different and so much scarier. Like we're talking about the erasure of modern certainty. It's getting hard to even be able to tell what's real or not. And it's a much different conversation than cameras being invented. And but that second half, um, I do think heavy emphasis on the used properly. This technology can enable people to make things that would have been otherwise been out of their reach. And I talked about this a smidge in my last video. If AI touches something up, if it adds frames, if you use it to take out a lot of busy work, then that's nice even. And ultimately I still don't think it's a worthwhile trade for the erasure of modern certainty, but it is a nice perk. You know, there is a silver lining. Um, so, and that's real quick. That's just this whole thing confuses me because it's like 1 second you're like, okay, I'm listening, and then another second you're like, ah. Um, but anyways, I think I said most of my point on that. But heavy emphasis on a stupid machine no one will really miss. Um, I think people will miss this age sorely. The pre-AI age, I think people will miss it dearly. And I'm again silver lining. I do think that AI tools used properly could be incredibly beneficial for people at your level. And I understand what you're saying there, but I don't think that this is a glorious revolution. I think this is a horrifying revolution. But anyways, moving on. Um, understand the outrage against the way big companies have been mishandling the data. Some of my friends are part of ongoing lawsuits. Not really rules. It's the Wild West. Yeah, but that almost feels like an excuse. There's no rules, so just use it for whatever you want. Um, And I think ultimately there's a morality problem, and we can discuss morality and ethics another day. But I think that certain uses of AI are completely immoral. Um, Making art for money, generating people doing things they've never done. Um, as you say, uh, in a sec, people turning grandma into a Ghibli character. That's not necessarily wrong, but due to the energy crisis, it kind of is. Which is the very next thing you say, energy consumption. I think it's misdirected. And I do think you have a point, get angry at people turning grandma into Ghibli characters. Um, but ultimately, that's still a problem that originated at the start. I don't want to use the AI tool on Google when I look stuff up. I don't want to, but it's there by default. You know how many people are parroting just use ChatGPT? My father told me the other day, use ChatGPT for this, and I thought, well, that sounds kind of easy. And then I was like, ah, it does sound easy, doesn't it? I didn't end up doing that for what he recommended, but it's a very common thing that's happening right now. Um, what I this is again pointing fingers. This next part. What I don't understand is people throwing a label on anything that mentions AI and doing mindless boycotting in hopes of what? That it hurts? Who? The big evil corporation? Or the small independent artist simply trying to adapt? Plagiarism didn't wait for machine learning to exist. You can go to a museum, look at Picasso, go home, copy it, and sell it. Or just be inspired to do something new, different. Still inspired from someone else's art, but actually creative. Everything is a copy. So yes, AI is plagiarism on steroids, but in my opinion, it just means it takes more vigilance and it should force people to think outside the box. Case in point, I don't think anyone can say that what we've done is anything but a tribute. I read that one in full because this is a rough section. I I don't think these are directly comparable. You said earlier that about the Super 8 cameras, and I don't think this is quite the same. And it's just like you said, AI is plagiarism on steroids. So it's much worse, and you even admit that. Um, which, if anything, this point counters what you're saying. This just furthers the point that you shouldn't be using AI in in this way. Um, and yes, it takes more vigilance. I do agree with that. It should force people to think outside the box. Yes, you don't think anything. You don't think anyone can say that anything you've done isn't a tribute. Um, yeah, we can. And again, most of the video is excellent. Most of the 3D stuff is excellent. And the crunch is something to consider. Um, but I don't know. I guess could you not have asked Carpenter Brut, "Hey, we need a little more time. Hey, can we use AI?" Like, did you talk to him directly? I don't think there's any point. Like, the only point in which you even reference him is in that first paragraph. Um, I even chatted with the man himself to get some insights and recommendations on how to go about the whole thing. Was that just at the beginning? Does he know you were going to use AI? Did he hire your team and he gave you some insight and you were cut loose? Like this is really important to me, this part. And again, most of it is a tribute, but by having AI, that doesn't tribute to anything. And you can bring up any AI used on the 3D stuff, and I'm sure ultimately it'll be far less ridiculous on a scale. But having these entire sections just it ruins the whole thing. You're trying to tell me that those frames, those the cops pointing at you, the lady dancing, and the close up of the blonde guy's face, you think those are a tribute? I disagree. Um, And to go back to the turning grandma into a Ghibli point, I do think that is a humongous issue. I will admit to you, I used Sora when it first came out. I was messing with it, made all sorts of silly stuff. Um, but once I found out the kind of energy it was taking, I stopped. And I know not everyone's going to care about that. Oh, everyone else is doing it. I'm just going to keep doing it. But I implore you, anyone who's watching, to not use that, not use Sora. Try not to use ChatGPT. I know it's already deeply entrenched in a lot of our lives now, but it's just unnecessary. So I kind of agree with this point, but don't get angry at anyone. Please try to explain. I'm not here to point fingers or make fun of anyone. I don't want anyone listening to go make fun of someone else or whatever. That's not what we're trying to do here. At least that's not what I'm trying to do. Um, but anyways, was that paragraph 4? So we're on to paragraph 5. Funny how I'm old enough to remember people used to do the same thing with computer graphics and 3D animation. Back in the day, we were the traders, taking jobs away from the real artists who can actually hold pencils, button pushers, Solus, etc. And now everyone loves K-pop Demon Hunters, Love, Death, and Robots, and Arcane. And again, I don't think this is the same thing, because yes, a person came and invented something else that people used, and I'm sure it was a rough fighting with traditional artists versus graphics artists. Um, but again, this AI is making stuff without human intervention. It's for me, it's about the conversation about art, and I don't know how I would have reacted back in the day when this other stuff was being first experimented with. And yes, everybody loves K-pop, Demon Hunters, Love, Death, and Robots, and Arcane. But again, it's you're pointing the finger somewhere else, I feel. Well, what about this? Well, it's not the same. It's far more nuanced than that, and far more, again, scary. Um, living and working in Los Angeles, not asking for top shelf. Uh, but just some respect. And that's the thing. I respect the work that was put into this, and I respect the people who helped. What I don't respect is those AI frames, those AI scenes, and I I feel that that's mostly the case. Moving on. Another thing I wanted to address is the AI specialist credit. This is just being technical. Um, I have nothing to say about this except that don't use AI to make art. um, so, paragraph 6, he talks about the making of video, which again, we will watch. Even if we did use AI, this was still a labor of love and passion. And I agree that I believe you. And I believe that's why you're so fired up. That's why you felt the need to do this entire statement, is because this is a labor of love and passion and you genuinely feel that. But to keep going, not sure I would have attempted it without AI or without a $250,000 budget. Good or bad. Also worked with character design. This is the part that I'm least proud of. No matter how you flip it, it's not a great situation. I feel like I've mostly tackled what he's saying at this point. But the last part, some shots are almost one-to-one from Akira. That's why I think it's okay to have some style discrepancy. Um, I think, again, you're comparing two different things. Like, I believe it's from Akira, the motorcycle part where they slide to the side. I mean, that's everywhere. Is that plagiarism? No. Style discrepancy? Maybe. Is it the same as using AI to make your art? Again, I don't think so. But to get to the last point, last 3 months have been straining, fully processed. In the end, end up animating almost every single shot yourself. Almost. Use a tune shaded CG render directly. Characters referencing character design models were made. All the full AI shots were only meant to be placeholders for something more crafted, but we just ran out of time and had to prioritize. There are the ones that most people are pointing at that make sense. If I could, I would remake them. And I guess that's what I'm coming back to. My original comment on the Carpenter Brut post was begging him, or on the video, was begging him to take it down and fix it. Can you not do that? Can we not do that? That would make me pretty happy, but the water has been fully pissed in at this point, and a lot of people, no matter what you do, are not going to be happy. Not necessarily saying I'm in that camp. I do think there's stuff you could do to try to make up for it, but now that all this is said, you tell me if that's enough human factor for y'all. See, I really do think you have some good points and some things that a lot of people would genuinely understand, but then you say something like that that's very passive aggressive, and some of these are just very aggressive at all. If you don't like what we made, I'm truly sorry. We did our best here. That feels more genuine. Why didn't you do this whole thing like that? Either way, just keep in mind that for a lot of artists and non-artists out there, generative AI is just an opportunity to create. For the audience, fresh depends status quo, impressed by. Or maybe you'd rather keep seeing stuff coming out of big studios who are the only ones who have had enough money to do big things the right way. And still, they also use AI, they just won't tell you they do. True. Point to the big boys. Then it's okay. And the final little bit of him sneezing at us is P.S. This was not written with the help of AI in case you're wondering. Well, thank you. This is a rough statement. I do believe him though that he is very passionate and he cares very much and that there was time crunch and he made the decisions he had to make. Um, but there's a lot of sarcasm and passive aggressive comments and aggressive comments. And this doesn't prove to me that you're trying to talk to us. This makes me feel like you're trying to be better than us. Like, oh, here's what happened. Deal with it, suckers. And that's not really the vibe you want to give. A lot of people are upset, and you're seeking to make them more upset. And why? Why would you do that? It's This comment will be the nail in the coffin for a lot of people um, who just wanted to know why. And I was one of those people. I was really open to hearing what you had to say, and I'm trying my darndest to extend my hand and be like, okay, I'm listening. But again, you're being very rude at certain points, and you're pointing the finger elsewhere. And yes, those are all problems. Animation being outsourced to other countries that are exploited is a problem. Big companies using AI and not telling you, that's a problem. Plagiarism is a problem. But it feels like you're not taking accountability by pointing fingers elsewhere. And uh, I think it would have done better. This could have been two things: explaining what happened and saying that you're sorry, we had to do what we had to do. And I think a lot of people would have been very understanding. But you go on a lot of tangents and ultimately don't feel genuine in what you're saying. So, moving on, let's look at the video. Um, Hang on, let me. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, see, look at all that. Look at all of that. Oh boy. See, does most of that look pretty good? I think so. Wow, he does show it. He does show the AI. Look at these models. I Is this not impressive? I think this is incredibly impressive. Yeah. Okay, I was concerned some of these anime parts were AI. Ah, look at all that. Look at that. Oh man, see, I love this shot. I love how everything slows down while the music is still screaming at you. That layering is interesting. Even the AI part, it's like that's somewhat interesting. Ah, yeah. You know, it's I mean this from every part of me I possibly could. This is very well done. There is incredible stuff here. And and Jean, again, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Jean, if you are somehow watching this, you have a gift. You have incredible work here, and you openly admit what AI you use, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you're talking about it, that you're showing your work, and I know now by watching this that most of what you've done in this video is real. And yeah, the three, well, I guess you don't talk about the close up, but that one's AI. But the cops yelling at you, the lady dancing, both AI. Um, there's some composite things. Like it seemed like you. Let me go back and find it. With the guy's head exploding, you you have you built the his head exploding, and then you have AI composited behind that. Like that's pretty cool, all things considered. And still a bummer that it's AI, and pretty much every part that looks super anime is. Even the final shot has some AI usage in it, and using it as a tool again is something I think we could really benefit from. And you designed the characters, you didn't have the AI makeup characters. Ultimately, it is impressive what you've done here, and your team is very talented, and the art that you have made is very good. Um, and ultimately, whether you think it is a bad thing or not if you used I do believe that you wish you didn't. I believe that. Um, I don't think that it's ultimately the right choice. And you had to do what you had to do. I could understand that, but with your comments, again, it seems like you're not apologizing. You're aggressively defending yourself. And my buddy was a part of. You made a new channel, so that people could talk about this. My buddy was a part of the conversation in there, and some of the stuff you said, um, is I assume this is you, judging by the reaction and the way you're saying things. Again, you're very on the offensive and defensive, and I I don't know. I think that this could have been handled better. I do think this behind the scenes video shows a lot, and again, you show you work, you admit to everything, and that's really admirable. But I think you could have calmed the storm a little better. And I'm not upset at you. I'm not upset at anyone on your team. A lot of people are upset, and I apologize for that. I I guess I can't really apologize for them, but I still think ultimately that it was an unfortunate call that could have likely been avoided. And ultimately, it is what it is, and I hope that you learn genuinely. And maybe I sound like I'm being passive aggressive, but I'm trying to be as honest as I possibly can. Um, I do hope the best for you, and I hope that this doesn't, like all these people getting upset at you, doesn't ruin your career. And I'm choosing to believe that you mean it, again, when you say you wish you didn't have to, and that it was about it was about crunch, it was about getting things done, and you took time off to do this. And again, that's admirable, but I'm talking in circles now. At this point, you've already made up your mind how you think about me. Again, if you are watching this, and for everyone who is watching this that isn't Jean, um, what are your thoughts? Please tell me. This is a conversation I genuinely want to have, and if you think I'm full of shit and that I'm lying when I say I believe him on these things, then tell me. Talk to me. Let's have a conversation. But please don't go make fun of anyone. Don't go bully John. Don't bully anyone else. Let's just talk about it and learn. That wasn't so bad, was it? um Anyways, thank you again to everyone watching. I will have some comments I'll be reading after this and talking to directly, but I've gotten through the bulk of the video, and I think actually I'll read a couple stuff here while I have you. Over on the Reddit again. Okay, here's the main thing I wanted to read. Um, so please watch the making of the Misfits, the Rebels before making up an opinion. I see a lot of people spouting the same AI art isn't great argument without looking into the nuances. I get that a lot of people aren't in the official Discord, so I'll post this here, but if you want to know the full context, I urge you to read the statement from the producer, which was posted, and I haven't seen that one yet, that post, until right now. But this guy puts it in a way I really like. I haven't watched the video, but I did read through the statement in full, and I'm not going to lie, it felt deeply patronizing and insincere. I'm deeply empathetic that production was a nightmare, but the latter section, where the writer was trying to conflate the use of AI with 3D animation, was a bizarre exercise in straw manning. I agree. The fundamental difference is that there is no ethical way for an AI video generator to be able to gather data to produce the video. And acknowledging that and doing it anyway does not make its usage any less sour. I'm well aware of the nuances of how AI generated media is created. The companies that manage these tools have plundered the creativity of others without their consent to create a machine that outputs a result far worse than any of those humans it stole from, alongside being insanely wasteful in every way. Overall, the whole thing felt like a weird non-apology, the only grace being that Carpenter Brut himself didn't call for this. Again, I'm empathetic to the level of passion put into this music video, but if the only way to resolve your own poor project management and overambition is to plagiarize, then it really undercuts that passion. Um, this is more aggressive than I would have put it, and if you've made it this far in the video, then I hope you believe that. Um, but what he said is pretty much it. It felt like a non-apology. It felt insincere. It felt like you were making fun of us at parts. I am willing to extend my arm again, though, and say I do believe you. It sounded like a nightmare at some points, and I'm sorry that it came to that. But at some points, it doesn't feel like you are sorry. Um, oh, and then one final comment before I let the rest of the video play out. As a VFX artist, I must say the use of AI in this clip is absolutely moronic and could have been totally avoided by just hiring a single animator. Otherwise, there is so much legit work in terms of 3D modeling, animation, compositing, and even actual 2D storyboarding. Saying a few small percent of the budget by using AI was paid the terrible public reception they got. But also sometimes the way they used AI doesn't even make sense. For example, they used an AI called Switchlight that generates technical layers that allows to relight footage in post-production, and Switchlight is one of the rare examples of an actual AI tool and a pretty ethical one. It allows new techniques that can't be done without AI. It's trained on ethically sourced data through collaboration with studios. It's running locally on consumer GPUs, so no big data centers to run it. The most important layers Switchlight create are the normals of the footage. A normal pass will tell you in which direction the tangent of any face is pointing, which allows you to relight the geometry after rendering. This possibly used to be something exclusive to CGI rendering, but now with Switchlight you can create normals of a video footage. The weird thing here is that they use Switchlight on a cell shading render, which is a type of CG render, which means it's already as its own normal pass. Now, I will be honest with you, I don't totally understand what everything he said means, and I honestly wish I could break this down from a technical perspective, but this is not my bag. I'm primarily a video editor and filmer. I have nothing to do with animation. And again, maybe you think it's BS that I'm talking at all. Oh, why is this guy talking? Then I understand. I actually do understand why you would feel that way. Um, so I'm sharing this in hopes that it sheds some light on the subject. Yeah, I think that mostly covers what I wanted to cover. Um, very grateful for everyone's support, and I hope that this was enlightening for you, and I hope that I could somehow um, provide some thoughts about this. And ultimately, what I do want to take away is that please talk about it, everybody on both sides, because I know there's people genuinely pissed on both sides, and I hope that this video somehow calms the storm a bit so we can all talk. Um, Maybe that's not feasible at this point. It's it's very tough out there, and maybe you think I'm not being aggressive enough. But if that's the case, then do what you gotta do, and I will do what I gotta do. Anyways, I'll play the comments from my other recording, and that's mostly it from me for this time. So thanks again for watching, and maybe there'll be a third video. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. I've never commented on a YouTube video in my life, but this one feels pertinent. I'm so proud of the majority of the Carpenter Brut community for standing up against AI, and the mass rejection of its use in art and music is so empowering to see as someone working in a creative field. We may never get an official statement from on Carpenter Brut, but at least we have voices like yours in our community. Thank you for speaking out, for creating a compelling video to share with us all. Thank you very much. My comment I gave to him was thank you for this comment. Ultimately, I just want Carpenter Brut to learn from this. Some people are suggesting that maybe he's out of touch about AI, which would suck, but at least he is ignorant. I don't know, but it is something to hope for. I'm glad to speak out and hopefully support what most of us fans think. So again, appreciate that comment. Very, very thoughtful. And then I'm going to go to this one who says, this is disappointing, but I still love Brett. Sometimes bands have controversy. People's lines are different. The Discord has a little post by the video's director. It sounds pretty small usage. 2 people out of 12. The other 10 people did most of the work. Feels bad to discredit their work. I felt more cringe than betrayal. Like Brett has a cool studio, Ghibli Independence, and this does cheaper that. But it's one video in a killer career he can learn. He was honest when he used it. We weren't lied to. But please don't use AI. And I'm worried part 2 of the video is already made. May need to re-edit it. I still love Brett. See you in Seattle. Yeah, see you too. P.S. It's cool to see the message of fighting against the corporate machine being acted on. Signal received. Well, there is some irony there. I'll read my comment, but I'll kind of tackle this a little more. I still love Brett too, and I would not have made this video if I didn't. I just hope we can make it clear that we do not want AI to be used in this way. Of course, it wasn't personal, but he is just such an inspiration to me that I had to speak my mind. I want him and his team to learn from this, but we will ultimately see. Thanks for the comment. See you in Seattle. So the message, this is something I don't think I brought up in my first video, but the message that fighting against the machine, the corporate machine as you say, is curious in that original video because that's what's happening. It's the rebels, the misfits, right? And they're fighting against police officers and top dogs and whatnot, and a lot of people felt like it was counterintuitive and even a lie to have that message when you're using AI in the video, which I can agree. It is good to still keep the original message in mind, but yes, it is a little harder to take seriously when you're using AI in there. But and again, he didn't use AI for most of it, and yes, we'll get into that again, or we'll get into that later, but it's just the parts that he did are so obvious, and it's just not, at least in my mind, it wouldn't have been worth it. Clearly with this backlash. Several others. Someone just said shid. Very cool. My buddy said, "Sorry for breaking the news." I told him it's okay, King, which it is. It's better that I know this than don't. Um, my brother responded, "Rift, I don't think I've ever thought, wow, this person is so cool in my life." Me, frowny face. And I said, "Bro, no," crying face. Um, that's my brother. He has his own Twitch and YouTube and um, hasn't done that stuff in a minute, but that's okay. He still could use a shout out. Um, so hello, this is Carl Cinco shouting him out. Go sub to him if you feel like. A couple of these comments are pretty chunky. I'll go through them still, but TBH, I have kind of same feelings towards the whole situation. Carpenter Brut is my favorite music artist, and as illustrator artist myself, feels kind of like I've been backstabbed. I wish he would address it in any way, but I doubt it will happen. More like bury head in the sand and ignore that it goes away. I'm still thankful how their music helped me with its energy when I was suffering very bad depression. I will remember the old stuff with warmth. But just this feels sad. The soul is missing because it is. Also, to the argument, animators are expensive. Yes, you know why people need to get paid for their work. It's called investment. Carpenter Brut would have gotten money back easy if they would have paid actual artists, not these fake ass AI artists. Because now people who care about this stuff will boycott this music video. I will not listen to it again until we get a version where there is just the album cover. So until it's released. Very, very good comment. Thank you. And I said, I completely agree. I feel personally hurt by this because Carpenter Brut is so important to me and an incredible inspiration in my life. I would like answers too, but I think you are right. I misspelled right. What a loser. But I think you are right that he will likely not address this. He gave me some of my best memories, and I will always cherish those. But yes, the soul is missing, and our souls need art from humans to be full. I do not understand, I do understand animators are expensive, but I believe spending more money on art will always be worth it in the end, and not for the money, but for the soul. I still want to listen to the new music for the first time in concert, but it will be hard to not think it was made by an AI. Hopefully I can feel the moment while there, but who knows. Thank you for your thoughtful comment and for watching the video. So to tackle this a little bit more, um, I think maybe Carpenter Brut might respond at this point, just because the director of the video responded. Um, so there's potential, and that's really the only other person I would even want to hear anything from. Um, but I agree, it's missing the soul, and yes, animators are expensive, but worth. At least I would think. Um, and yes, maybe it's a bit cheesy with the word soul, but art is food for the soul. That is all. Then the final comment on here. It's fine if you use Midjourney for your personal hobbies. I don't think anyone should be mad about that. It's when they have resources and are supposed to be a role model for aspiring artists. That part is destructive. When the people who are supposed to be financing the arts and inspiring new artists stop and display their flagrant disregard for art and artists. And you are right. AI use doesn't just make one thing as being synthetically counterfeit. It calls into question their entire work since AI existed. How are we able to admire or be invested with just a digital recreation of human struggle? I love Carpenter Brut, but I don't love whatever a computer thinks it is. And if he just wants to keep being a gateway for whatever a computer algorithm thinks his subscribers want to see or even hear, well, that's a scam. And there are an infinite amount of people struggling to be heard that are worth paying attention to. Reading my comment. I was being overdramatic on the Midjourney for sure. I don't feel bad for using it at the time, but still won't now because I need to do better. We have no way of knowing if his new music is AI, and that just hurts my soul to think about. I love Carpenter Brut's music so much, and that's why I even said anything. I've been able to cope with AI making art for a while, but now it has affected something very personal to me. How can it continue to be personal to me if it's not even human? Thank you so much for watching and commenting. So, I mean, yeah, the mid-journey part in my last video, I was being a bit dramatic when I said I formally apologize my for the fact that I bought mid-journey, and I was mostly being funny, but I didn't have the funny tone anywhere in that video, so I understand the confusion. But yeah, I don't think Carpenter Brut used AI for his music. It's still just crummy ultimately. So thank you everyone who commented, everyone for watching, everyone who liked. It's it's very nice. I really appreciate it. If you want to read the stuff on Reddit, I'll have some screenshots here, but it's a lot of stuff. Um, Main thing I want to say, a couple responses on my comment where I just posted the video. Basically, I guess I've been saying his name wrong this whole time. It's Carpenter Brut. I apologize for that one. Um, I I mean, I've already said Carpenter Brut a million times in this video, so I apologize if that drives you crazy, but I don't know if I could break out of that habit. Um, but yeah, silly American says it wrong. It's probably also because like the word bruh exists, and so B-R-U-T, Brut, like that's probably where my brain went. Um, well, I'll talk about this one really quick. My brother in Midwich, we don't even know where AI intervened in the process. And it would seem that it was just to create some 3D assets due to time and money constraints. Please stop acting like the whole clip was made by AI. And I said, I never said it was all made by AI, but like you said, we don't know where AI intervened. It could have been the whole thing or just the obvious parts. There are 3 moments I believe it is obvious: the cops yelling, dancing red woman, and the blonde guy's face. The argument for its use is always to save time and money, and I can understand that logistically, but we're talking about art here. I believe art should be almost entirely human designed, otherwise it takes away from it. Then he responded and said, oh yes, I fully agree with you on that, but personally, if it really is just a few 3D assets to gain time and money, I don't care. AI should be used to help, not replace, and if AI helped 3D artists by generating a few assets, yes, it's too bad, but I personally don't have a problem with that. And then I responded again and said it's not as bad as it could be, yes, and I'm pretty sure I say in my video that AI touching stuff up is pretty low on the problematic scale, but there are a few shots of pure AI, but those few shots of pure AI just stand out. They aren't even taking that long. They aren't, hello? They aren't even that long, and I believe it would not have taken much more time to fill them with the 3D stuff. Ultimately, it is what it is, but I just don't understand why use AI for entire shots that are so short. And then there's a few bonus comments, but that's basically the gist of it. I haven't interacted pretty much anywhere else on Reddit about this. If you go to the Carpenter Brut page, there's a couple people saying, oh, it's bad, oh, it's great, or not great, it's not that big a deal. And I'll just read a couple more things on Reddit. A guy says, I don't like AI, but I still love his music. I can feel both of these things at the same time. Very true. And that's pretty much how I feel. And then this one's been making the rounds. I have no idea how to say his name, so I say Perturbator, the artist, another dark synthwave guy, said the beauty of art has always been and forever will be the human factor. Kinda wild. Congrats on your marriage. I also feel super disappointed by this. Welcome to 2026, I guess, Lamau. Don't let it bog yourself down too much. Also, play Hotline Miami. It's worth it. Big ol' smiley face. Much love. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this. My reply was, "Thank you so much. I honestly feel a lot better after getting my thoughts out there. There has been some more statements made, and I will be making a new video to go over that." Hey, would you look at that? New video being made. But I am okay emotionally, just want to discuss at this point. I will definitely get to Hotline Miami one of these days. Seems like a lot of fun. Yeah, pretty much what I said. So I guess this is a second outro I'm making after what I read. Um, Thanks for watching till this point, you absolute madmen and women, whoever you are. Um, Again, please let me know what you thought. Please give this video a like, share it with anyone else who would be interested, and again, maybe I'll see you in the next one, um, if there is another one. So, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.